Hello, everybody. Uh, how you doing? Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not that late. It's only 2 minutes. Uh, I decided to just make the starting soon screen start earlier this time. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Uh, I figure it probably can't hurt. I'll change the lower third thing. It's not really a lower third, more just kind of a lower. If I do this, that's not it. Charles isn't here. Uh, I don't remember which one I'm supposed to go to. I should probably label them. If you if you saw the way I've labeled this, it's ridiculous. There's just like one, two, three, four, five. Okay, so that's better. All right. So here I am. Oh, I should do this. Oh, I found a toy today. I'll show you my toy in a second. This little fun toy. I think you'll appreciate it. Okay, so it's a pen. I can draw on the screen just like this. It's so much easier. I can even make circles. I don't know. I don't know how to make the circle not like this. Maybe this button. Um, I don't know. I can change the color of the circle. How do I make it like transparent on the inside? There's no alpha. No, I want it to be transparent on the inside. I don't know how to do that. Um. Oh, transparency. There we go. Nailed it. Okay. So, anyways, I can do that now. That's cool. So, yeah. I don't know if anyone's gonna come today to this stream. I think I'm alone. I'm not sure. Uh, but anyways, I'll stream to that. Anyway, so anyways, how y'all doing? Um, there's some stuff going on in Krynky. There's some stuff. Um, yeah, I can channel my inner Joe Madden. You just have to go like this, like that. You go like this, go like that. Throw the ball like this, catch it here, go that way. You win, right? That's how you do it. Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, I guess I should start. Okay, so there's one piece of news that it frustrates me that people don't really talk about this enough. Um, and it is the ongoing shelling of civilians, um, or and civilian areas. So it's kind of both. I mark it every day. Some of these reports are more wordy than others, like this one, I believe. So, anyways, I mark these every day as I find them. They all come with sources. You can click the source and look at it. I try to do official sources as much as possible. So, example, he is the governor, I believe. So, anyways, all of these reports, they add up over time. You know, um, yesterday they shelled a library. Where was that library? I think that was yesterday, right? Or was it today they shelled a library? It was, yeah, today they shelled a library. Why? I don't know. Why do you shell a library? There's a video of the library. You can view it. It's right here. This is a children's library, not even an adult library. It's a children's library that they decided to just blow up for some reason. I don't really know why. I don't really see a purpose. Um, but yeah, these you can it goes inside the library at some point, and you can see the insides. Um, whole place is more or less destroyed. And just because I think this is important, so I'll just keep that video going. And I'm going to find what the library used to look like. Because Google Map has this library, and it has photographs of what the library looked like prior to this bombing. Give me a second while I find it. So this is the library prior to being bombed. You can see this kind of distinctive staircase. But this is what it looked like before. It was a pretty nice little library, right? So yeah, there's these like 3D views. You look around. I mean, and obviously libraries are libraries. They don't really. I mean, they're pretty standard, especially a children's library. There's not too much going on, but yeah, you could just kind of walk around this place. This whole place is on Google Maps, where you can just view the whole library, and that's how it was, before, and this is how it is now. And it's just things like this I find depressing. Not so much. I mean, obviously the event itself is depressing, but what I find truly depressing is that the news just doesn't care. They don't show these things. Like and obviously this isn't a one-off event. Um they've been dropping aerial bombs all over the place. This guy was walking home from the store and had a bomb dropped on him from a grenade. A bomb dropped from a drone. Um, these airstrikes, more airstrikes, more airstrikes, um, including strikes on civilians, strikes on infrastructure. So yeah, this is it's just these things don't get talked about, and I try to mark them as much as I can. Yesterday, the Russians shelled a funeral. Um, 3 died and 5 were injured. Right here it says 4, but there was a 5th person injured in that. And it's just all of this. Every day it adds up. Every day it's you know 10 people there, 15 people here, and every day it adds up. So at the end of the week, it's like, 100, 150, sometimes 200. I mean, every once in a while, there'll be 50 people in one event getting wounded or killed. And these events are just not talked about in the media for some reason. I can't wrap my head around it. This piece of news in in Avdiivka, it says that I'll zoom in. I don't know if you can read this clearly on YouTube due to the resolution and whatever, but it says that um, there's more than 1,300 residents without electricity, heat, water, or communication in Avdiivka. There's devastating shelling, the approaching frost. It leaves little chance for people to survive. The police department has been destroyed. This is the police department. Um, it does not function, but 2 police units are constantly on duty within the city. The White Angels, and investigation. Anyway, the White Angels are the people supplying Avdiivka. Now, I don't know if you know who the White Angels are, but they are basically a police unit. They also work with volunteers, but they drive to frontline towns to deliver food and basic aid, and they're called the White Angels. 16 people are still working in the hospital. two doctors and medical staff. Uh, they have medicine for first aid, but it's not. They're not capable of providing more than that. The White Angels provide food, gas, and other necessary things. Uh, so yeah, that's just the news from you know Avdiivka, where people only talk about the battle, but they don't talk about that there's still civilians there and doctors. I want to point out that the same day that they published this, in another part of the city, a 67-year-old man was hit by shrapnel that tore open his chest. Um, so let's just keep that in mind. Um, of course, Chasiv Yar is getting shelled pretty heavily. Um, Toretsk is getting shelled pretty heavily. Um, Kupiansk. Um, One city in particular is Vovchansk. Um, I want to note that when Russia initially invaded last year, they took Vovchansk largely without a fight. They took it, and the city was more or less undamaged. There was some very light shelling here and there, but more or less the city was undamaged until Ukraine, liberated it from Russian occupation. And when they did so, it was more or less undamaged. Since then, the city is being leveled. It's being absolutely destroyed. Um, these are the sorts of images you see of entire blocks of the city burning down. Just tons of damage on a daily basis, more or less. I post photographs as I see them. Actually, I don't even do that. Sometimes I just feel too depressed to post the photographs. But the city is being demolished, and the city was not damaged by Ukraine. They did a little bit of shelling. Most of the Ukrainian shelling was like out here on the outskirts. They were attacking like an electrical line, I believe, like a power line. I believe went here if I remember right. But they like blew up a power line with some long range artillery. I think they're Excalibur. And I believe they blew up some trucks and stuff like in this general area, but they did not really target the city. Russia has been targeting the city ever since, and they've been demolishing it. So the question is, why don't civilians leave? And the reason is simple, because it's their home and they don't want to. Um, a lot of the people who remain are old, they're elderly. If you look at the ages, they're like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, like that age range. A lot of them, they just don't want to leave. Like they just don't want to. It's the home that they lived in. A lot of them, maybe they lived there their whole life. It's all their friends are there, or whatever's left of them, and they just don't want to. It's their home, and they don't want to go. Some of them are scared to leave because they don't know what they would do. They have nowhere to go. They don't have family to go to. They don't have money. Um, so those are reasons. It's just those are the sorts of reasons. It's just the stubbornness and fear. Getting shelled is apparently less scary than being homeless, I guess. Um, What really bothers me is when there's children. Every once in a while, I'll find an article published usually by the police saying that they've evacuated children from some place where children shouldn't be. And whenever I see it, those really bother me. I get very angry when I see them. I think I'm supposed to feel happy when I read them, but I just feel angry. Um, like I'm just gonna sit here scrolling up in my news feed. I went to a police telegram, and I'm just gonna scroll up until I find an example because the stories of the evacuating children, they really they really bother me because I don't know why you'd keep children there. Um, but yeah, this just keep all of these sorts of things in mind when you're thinking about the war and when you talk to other people about the war because it actually is a war. A lot of people want to pretend it's not. A lot of people just want to look at a front line and talk about battles, the tanks exploding, but this is an actual war. Um, so what is going on in Klashivka and Andriivka? Well, from what I understand, um, Russians have not advanced significantly in in the recent past. Like they advance every once in a while. Like they push up, they get wrecked basically, and then the survivors run away. And that seems to be more or less the what's going on. Like yesterday, Russians pushed up to this tree line, and then we had this video of them just running away. They ran away to here and presumably kept going. There's also an abandoned tank there as well. Uh, so that this is the sort of things that we're seeing now. More recently, there's been some shelling around this train track. It appears to be Russian shelling. Well, it is definitely Russian shelling, but it appears to be at least somewhat recent. I'm not entirely convinced it's actually recent. It may be a little older. I'm not really sure, but the shelling is roughly here. And today, some of the Ukrainians were stating that they had not only repelled a Russian assault south of Andriivka, but that they had moved into the grounds that the Russians were occupying. And you see some maps, they draw Ukrainian control in this kind of area of this railway. And I don't know if they're using this video as evidence or not, or just the statements from Ukraine. Well, either way, that's kind of the rumor at the point. At this point, I haven't seen evidence. What you do see evidence of is that this whole area, like especially this tree line area, um, it switches hands back and forth. The 1 minute Ukraine controls it, the next minute Russia controls it, and that's why it's a gray area. This area, like this open field, for example, it seems to be a no man's land. You can pass through it, but you can't stay there, so it's a gray area. And then back here, like this you could probably call this a no man's land too. That you can't really stay there, and there's no permanent positions. I don't think. Um, but only Russia passes there, and Ukraine doesn't. So that's why I have it under Russian control. If you really wanted to, you could probably push the line of Russian control back further because I'm not sure they don't actually stay in this ground. They just move through it. Okay. So, people are talking about civilians. Um, no, there's really, it's very rare to not have civilians in an area. For example, in Novoselivska, up here, in Novoselivska, Novoselivska. Anyway, um, this town, the only reason that this town doesn't have civilians in it is because Russia killed them all. There was one remaining civilian here, and he was shot and killed by a sniper. Other than that, that is the only reason there's no civilians living in Novoselivska. Uh, it's not because they all left; it's because they were all killed. But generally speaking, all maybe not all, but the vast majority of these towns have civilians in them. So like keep in mind that basically the first thing that Ukraine did when Ukraine liberated Rabatina is the police came in and started evacuating people. That was the first thing that happened in Rabatina. And keep in mind the Battle of Rabatina, the absolute intensity of it and the length of it. We're talking, 2+ months of constant, extremely heavy combat. And the first thing Ukraine did was evacuate people, civilians. Okay, so that's Rabatina. Okay, keep in mind that in the Battle of Bakhmut, there were civilians in the Battle of Bakhmut until the end. Civilians never left Bakhmut. Right, so um, basically everywhere there's civilians. It's rare to not have civilians. It's very uncommon. The the military obviously prefers to not have civilians in these towns, and the police definitely prefer because the police are the ones supplying them food and stuff. The police definitely prefer them not be there. But Ukraine is not like kidnapping people and forcing them to leave. They there's they suggest they leave. They offer them like the opportunity to leave. They say like I will drive you out of here if you get in my car. But if they don't leave, they don't leave. I mean, we unless you're gonna kidnap them, there's not much you can do about it. Um, so yeah, getting back to Klashivka and Andriivka, um, I don't see much difference going on here. I did just get a message about an hour ago saying that this whole area is under a lot of stress. Like at the moment, like as of an hour ago, is under a lot of stress, but that nothing had really changed. Um, yeah, yeah. There are some, and I want to say that in a lot of these cases, in a lot of the small towns, the people who stay are elderly. And in a lot of the cities, a lot of them are elderly too. Not all of them are elderly. I have seen cases because the police they publish these articles of rescuing people and they show their faces every once in a while. Not well in these articles they do obviously they obviously don't publish every person that they rescue, but not all of them are old. Some of them are 20, 25, 30. A lot like I've seen so many times there'd be a family where like the mother is like maybe 30 and the children are like 8. And I wonder why are you keeping your 8-year-old on the front line when I see it? I don't understand like I can't comprehend it. Okay, so here is an example of of such an article. Um, Says 5 small children were evacuated from Toretsk. So let's find this. Find this place. Uh, let's find it. I don't actually know exactly where that is. That's not it. So much for just typing the name in and hoping for the best. Man, I hate Google so much. Why can't it just be smarter? Why can't it just be like, oh, you're looking, oh, it's right here, right? Yeah, so it's right here. So it's this town. Um, so how far from the front is this? This is like 10 kilometers, not even. So the youngest is not even 2 months old, bro. Stuff like this, it gets to me. It gets to me. Not even 2 months old. I can't comprehend. There's the 2 month old, a 3 year old, a 6 year old, a 9 year old, and an 11 year old. And that's them. Uh, there's 77 more children who need to be evacuated. They say in Marinka, the evacuation has completed. Not a single child is left there. Just think about that. Think about having to state that you have recently completed evacuating children from Marinka. That's insane. That's insane. It's been on the front line for 10, 12 years, 13 years. And the other town is what over here? Yeah, it's just so they're saying that they just finished evacuating children from here, which is obviously like the active front line of the Russian offensive, and here, which is also the active front line for the Russian offensive. Okay, so yeah, and when it says Marinska, it doesn't mean literally the city of Marinka. It means the legal thing. Let's see if I can find the I'll find a legal boundary here, and you can see what this means because I'm not sure what the legal boundary is. Um, oh, this is harder to find than I thought. Okay, I thought this would be easier to find. Maybe it does literally mean Marinka. It, uh, yeah, that's brutal. Okay. It says that Marinka is this. Okay, so this is Marinka. Marinka Urban Ramada. Okay, so obviously there's Marinka itself. There's the city of Krasnohorivka. Um, these small towns of Hayarivka and Maxim or whatever. I can't remember the name of that town. There's Alexandropol, and then these towns. So, oh, and then yeah, then Novomykhailivka and Kasiantinivka and or Konstantinivka, Katranivka, and all these little areas. So they're stating that they have just recently finished evacuating children from here, and similarly, this place, whatever this Ramada is, so they're stating this Ramada as well. Um, Keep in mind that only about half the Ramada is currently in Ukrainian control, because everything like from here over is in Russian control, basically, except for well, This corner is in Russian control. Anyways, so they say they finished those two ramadas, and now they're working on the other one. Where was the other one? I can't remember. Uh, it's yeah, it's like over here. Anyways, that's just an example. Just an example of the sort of news you see. Yikes. Man, it's just depressing, dude. Anyways, this is this news. News that they don't really talk about in the news, do they? They don't write about this in the Times. They write opinion pieces on people who don't understand geopolitics talking about things. Anyways, so there's more war news that we can talk about, I guess. I don't really have too much news from this northern sector. There's obviously still fighting around Sinkivka. They're still fighting around Ivanivka. Um, they've there's some rumors that I've not really seen solid evidence of this that Ukraine cleared this area near Yahidna. I'm not sure Russia controlled it. I mean, I've talked about this a bunch of times. I don't think Russia actually controlled this area. I think it was a gray area the whole time, and I've not seen evidence of that changing. And furthermore, I've not seen any evidence of this area up here. So, um, from what I can tell, nothing's actually changed in that area. Now moving on down south, there is one map change I did not have time to do, but I will do in a moment. This little yellow area that I'm kind of hovering over, it's going to go back to Russian controlled. I think the evidence we had to make this map change in the first place, this video, I believe this video was misdated. I think it was actually from April, and it's so I'm gonna undo that change because I don't think that change even happened. Uh, yeah, this and then near Bilohorivka, um, Russia did recently assault this tree line. This isn't new. This is actually it was on the 16th, so this was like over a week ago at this point. But they assaulted here. We have no clue what actually happened. Um, there's like these three guys in that tank. Um, we have no clue what actually happened here. Um, I did update my Russian control here. It might even be more south. It might even be like down to here. I don't actually know. But they assaulted. We don't know what happened, and we've had absolutely no information from there since then. But other than that, we've had like no information from this area. There's been pretty regular airstrikes and some drone attacks, but yeah, and this shelling here, which is between Bilohorivka and Verkno Kamyanska. Anyway, it was like halfway between, but we've talked about that on Monday, I believe, or Tuesday. Yeah, and then this whole area we have no news, basically, and wrapping around we have no news. I've heard nothing about this area north of Bakhmut. I assume it's roughly the same, which is to say everything is very bad. There was pretty heavy assaulting here from the Russians, attacking pretty constantly, trying to push Ukraine back. I assume nothing's changed, because we've gotten no news. But maybe Russia ran out of steam and stopped. Like I don't actually know. And then we've already talked about Klishivka. Moving on, this is further south. Um, we've not seen any recent updates from this area of Pivdena, um, and we have no reason to believe anything has changed. Basically, there are some who are claiming that Ukraine has pushed out to here. I'm not sure about that. Um, some are mapping this as Russia controls this factory area, this industrial area, and that everything around it is a gray area. Some are mapping that Ukraine controls this hill and that hill. We know that Ukraine has been on this hill. We know that Ukraine controlled the hill at a point. Same with this one, even more so this one. We know that Ukraine controlled them at a point, but we don't know if they still control them. That's the issue. But they might, but we don't know. Um, anyways, we have no news from New York, or really no news from here either. Oh, this is like a big minefield anyway. Literally. Anyways, from this northern section of Avdiivka, we know that Russia controls this part of this forest line. We believe that their goal is to capture this forest line. And I don't know of any changes other than that. Well, that's not even changes. I don't know of any changes. I'm not sure Russia's even actively assaulting this tree line anymore. They might be assaulting other areas. This whole area is very opaque to me. It's frustrating. Martin wants to be a mod. Let's see if YouTube wants Martin to be a mod. Uh, Alright, so YouTube has granted Martin the power of mod. Okay, so this southern area of Avdiivka, this industrial area, we don't actually fully understand what's going on here. So it seems that Ukraine controls here, this kind of part of this industrial area. Um, I feel strongly enough that I'm almost willing to change my map to make this area blue again. Like I'm almost there. We've seen Russian shelling in this area. This was a tank shelling. I thought that was a cool shot. But there's been shelling here. There's been drone recon here. They're just filming. They're changing. This drone was just like changing all of its little uh, infrared modes. It was just kind of like rotating between them. Wait, in fact, I could probably just show the video. Why not? I don't think there's anything bad. It's literally just a drone looking at things. Yeah, these are just Russians looking at Ukrainians from a drone, changing their colors. What's your favorite mode? Yeah, the defenses of Avdiivka are incredibly strong. Oh, dude, you turned blue. When I made you a mod, you turned blue. I didn't know mods were blue. Apparently they are. Anyways, the southern okay, so I'll take out my pen tool because I have it now. So we know that Russia controls here. We know that they control that. It appears that Ukraine controls. Well, I tried to make it blue and it just didn't. Okay. It appears Ukraine controls this, and it could be that. Let me find a good color yellow. it could be that this whole area in between is a yellow area. And this may be the way I change my map in the future. I might make this change. Now this area we don't know. This this could be controlled by Russia. Right. Thank you. Angel Fire's out here giving memberships. He's just granting people memberships. Good for him. Anyways, so I may end up changing this whole this area of the map, and the change that I make will not necessarily represent changes. It's more clarification. So it might be like it might end up being kind of like that, and something like that. That might end up being the change. Um, we'll see. Okay. Yeah, this. Yesterday there was a relatively funny thing that happened, and I kind of want to talk about it. Um, yesterday. Okay, so I'll take a step back. Um, this probably doesn't even have to be explained. You probably already know this, or just assume it, just with logic. But there are on Telegram, there are groups of channels on Telegram that basically just post nothing but nonsense, right? They don't even pretend it's not nonsense. They post just 24/7 fire hose of lies, and just with no shame. They don't care. They don't care what you think of them. Like they just a fire hose of lies 24/7. Right. And most people who look at those channels, they immediately know that it's a fire hose of lies. But um yesterday, I believe, or the day before, all the days run together now. It was yesterday. Yesterday they were posting that Russia had broken through this line here and captured up to the highway. So they're basically stating that that they did something like this and moved up to here like that. Okay, that's what they're stating, and it was it coming from them. You automatically know it's not true because the, they don't tell truth. They just say everything that comes to mind. It's kind of like a random number generator for news. Like they have no intention on telling facts. They state they like combine words in every single order that's possible and post it on Telegram. And that's like their news style, okay? But the funny thing was that a certain I don't want to say his name. A certain um person, a certain entity who has an audience on Twitter and on Telegram. A certain person who he lets his opinions known. Everybody knows who he is. You know who he is. I'm not going to say his name, but everybody knows, right? And he took this lie and he amplified it and he stated it. He restated those lies as fact. And for some reason, even though this guy himself is also known for being wrong about literally everything, um, someone quoted, well, used him as a primary source to state that this actually happened. Because if it comes from that guy, obviously, you know, He has like what 200,000 followers on Twitter or something. I mean, obviously everything he says is true, right? Even though he's always wrong about everything. So he decided. So this all became like almost instantly yesterday afternoon. It went from people just like a random number generator of lies to an actual idiot quoting it to someone who's slightly less stupid quoting the idiot to suddenly it's on like all of the Russian maps and stuff and it's I'm surprised like the MOD didn't talk about it or something. So but yeah, today they then had to walk back all of these supposed claims they had because they were untrue. I do, to be honest, this area of Avdiivka for a long time to me, until like this summer, I didn't know much about this area. And the first thing I learned about this area, conclusively learned as a fact, was that Ukraine controlled it. And before then, I had it marked as a gray area, but I didn't actually know if it was a gray area or not. And the first thing I learned was that Ukraine controlled it. So I don't actually know if Russia controlled it before then. They may have. I'm not sure. But but all of the information I had like before the summer was like not great information. Like it was coming from sources who were not very good sources. And the first conclusive factual thing I could say was that Ukraine controlled it. And I cannot tell you factually whether Russia ever controlled it prior to then. Although all of those bad sources, well, not well, some of those bad sources were saying that Russia did control it. But so yeah, that's how I would describe it. Who controls the water treatment plant? Well, the last that I can conclusively tell you is a fact, Ukraine does. And I have not seen any evidence that Russia has taken it. Period. There's none. There's no video. There's nothing. So, while it is possible that they could have captured it without conclusive evidence coming out, it's a possibility. You know, there's no reason to believe it's true without that evidence. So, uh, that's what I'll say about that. Uh, in the Avdiivka area, we've seen a lot of these cluster bombings from airplanes today. Also, actually, this video may have been from a few days ago because there's no snow, but it is relatively recent video. Uh, so it appears that Russia has been bombing these kind of fields between Severna and Avdiivka with these cluster munitions. I don't know how effective this bombing is, but I don't know. But yeah, there's uh, 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 Pervomaiska area. There's been no known changes. The Severna area, there's no known changes, and the Vodiana area, there's been no known changes. Um, so yeah, this whole southern part of Avdiivka, there's no known changes. This industrial area over the past few days, I don't know of any changes, and I just talked about the probable map changes I'll make today, maybe over the next few hours. I'll keep thinking about it. I think I jumped the gun too much on pushing Russia so forward. I don't think they actually controlled as far forward. I think they only controlled like here, and I do think that Ukraine probably controls here. I'll consider maybe I'll just make the gray area bigger. I'm not sure. Um, So yeah, moving on further south. Yesterday we had video of Ukraine attacking this area near Krasnohorivka. This video is obviously old because there's no snow. I don't think it's that old. It's just obviously not from like this week. Yeah, maybe the floor does need to lighten up. I don't know. Maybe maybe he just needs a pat in the back. I don't know. What do you think? We tried giving the Flork coffee. He appreciated the coffee, but it didn't lighten his mood. Yeah, I don't know who is the person who donated coffee to the Flurk. Um, if you want to tell us who you are, that'd be cool. The Flurk, he appreciated the coffee. He might not look like he appreciated it, but he did. Did you see the the recent video? Drones are a bigger advantage than tanks. I don't know if that's true. I mean, if you were an infantryman attacking a position, I think you would feel a lot better if you had a tank on your side. Um, I think you'd feel a lot better knowing that you had a tank supporting you. If you were defending a position, I think you would rather have a tank on your side than a tank on the other side. I think tanks are pretty nice. The issue of tanks um, is that first they can be destroyed, obviously. Um, Obviously, also, I think this goes without saying. Most of the time, the tank doesn't get destroyed. Okay, just keep that in mind. Most of the time, the tank is not destroyed. It's only the rare time that the tank is destroyed. So just keep this. Just think about that. If tanks were always destroyed, there'd be no tanks. It's rare for them to be destroyed. It's notable. How long is the front line? I don't know. I haven't mapped it in a while. I'm sure Martin could probably write some sort of script to measure it. I don't know. I haven't. It's so annoying to measure because it's should I just estimate it? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to just do you want an actual measurement or do you want me to estimate the length? I could estimate it. Uh, I could do like this. We could do like that's like 20. Uh, let me let me measure. Uh, let's just kind of go like this, right? So it's like 80. No, that's like 90. Um, I need to stop doing that. Yeah, this is like what are we up to? Like 100 or so? 20, 30 or whatever. We can go down. So yeah, you can see the length of it is obviously there's like a fractal problem here where the more accurate your measurement, or I mean the smaller the grain of your measurement, the your measurement is going to tend towards infinity, which is an issue. So I don't know. I hope you're adding up these numbers because I stopped. Uh, anyway, you could probably do this on your own time too. But if we wanted like a real measurement, we'd probably have to have Martin program it. Okay, fine. You measure it. Report back with a number. I think honestly, I think the way that you would write a script to measure it would be to um, make all of the polygons, or actually, you'd probably use the Ukrainian polygons. So take all of the Ukrainian polygons and convert them into one polygon, right? And then delete like that side of the polygon to make it a line. Isn't that what you would do? Anyways, so that's kind of the Avdiivka area. There's not so much to talk about. There's been few changes, honestly. I'll just get to what the changes are. Um, Near Novomykhailivka, um, Russia is getting closer to the town. Ukraine is using more artillery than they were over the past few days, from my understand anyway. There was that snowstorm, or it's not really a snowstorm. There was like that big storm in Ukraine, right? And it was like 3 days or so where, from what I could hear, from what I heard from everybody, basically, is that artillery wasn't being fired as often because there weren't as many drones flying because you couldn't fly drones because the weather was terrible. And since that storm passed, both Russia and Ukraine have both been flying their drones more and using more artillery. One of the drone units I follow, they say that for some reason the drone operators that they work with, obviously we're not talking about every drone operator, but the drone operator that they work with personally, he hasn't been saving any of the videos from their artillery strikes, and they're upset about it. So they asked him to start saving videos. So and the pilot said fine. So he's gonna start saving videos. They're gonna start posting videos, I guess. But they are in this general area. They shell this area here. But the timing of the Russian advance here, it seems to have matched up with that storm, where I'm not sure Ukraine was firing as many shells as they were prior, and Russia used that to advance. I think that's what happened. I might be wrong, but uh, that it seems to be that's what the timeline was like. And now that the weather is better, um, Ukraine is hammering this whole area with pretty heavy artillery. Now, keep in mind that Russia is also heavily bombing this whole area with their airplanes. Um, so yeah. Anyways, I have no information from basically this whole area. Ukraine did capture a BMP 1AM, which was interesting. They captured it right there in a Russian assault. And Russia assaulted this corner, and Ukraine apparently withdrew from the corner, but Ukraine may have taken it back. That's kind of the unsaid thing here, is that it's possible Ukraine retook this corner. Um, uh, Rabatina, I don't really know of any particular changes. Ukraine is dropping bombs in this most northern part of Novoprokopivka, um, which we basically knew already that Russia had reestablished basic control over the whole entire town, that Ukraine is no longer in that town. Ukraine is also hitting this area to the east of Novoprokopivka with its drones as well. And also, yesterday, there was a super interesting shelling in this area where Russia was shelling all through this field, all the way from, you see the little like pencil pointing right here, which is right there. They were shelling from there all the way to here. So this whole area was just getting hit by grads. There's also, I believe this is a BTR-4E, but I'm not entirely sure. It was running around firing its little gun, got hit by a drone. I'm not sure the drone did much damage, if any. And also, that shelling, the same shelling. I was just gonna draw a picture. It kind of shows you like what grads do. It's kind of funny. The grads basically were firing in like there. It was like everything here getting hit by grads. Um, I'm not even sure what they were aiming at, or if they hit what they were aiming at, but they sure did. So that's 400 kilometers in Ukrainian territory, excluding the river, plus 260 kilometers of the river, plus 600 kilometers of the border with Russia, roughly. Yeah, and again, the smaller you make your little like the grid you're measuring, the closer you trend towards infinity. So it's probably the more rough your measurement probably is more accurate, honestly, because the fractal problem with making maps. Also, um, near Novopokrovka, Ukraine was shelling a Russian position in this tree line. Now, this video was incredibly difficult for me to geolocate. It took me a solid hour to find this artillery shell. Um, I just want you to view this video. This was so hard to find. Yeah. So the way that I found this video was this this patch here, this like dark patch, um, is oh wait, it's right here. This that dark patch is basically this kind of dark patch here is that, and that's how I located it. It was a very time consuming process to find this video. Uh, but yeah, so Ukraine was shelling there and Russia was shelling here. And they're shelling here with like a BMP or something. It was some autocannon where you can see some sort of autocannon. Probably a BMP2 or a BMD one, maybe a BTR. I don't think they use BTRs here though. It's very likely a BMD, a BMD4 probably, because they have BMDs around here. So uh, yeah. Also, there's this video of a apparently this building got exploded by something. Not sure what. Not sure what this building was either. They were saying that it was a warehouse, maybe. But that exploded, and it was roughly here. I think it was this building. I'm not entirely convinced it was that building. I'm like 50% sure. It could have also been. I don't think it's this building, but this was the only other building that kind of looked like it. But if it were this building, you would have to. I don't think it's that building for a lot of reasons. But there are features about this building that match. It has the same doors and windows, but I think that's the building. Um, it was in Tarasivka, I believe. That's how you pronounce it. But anyways, I'm not sure what shelled it. It could probably be just about anything at this range. It could be artillery. It could be Gimler. Who knows? Anyway, that was yesterday. Uh, yeah. What else is there to talk about? Now we could talk about the Dnipro. The Dnipro. Um, I've made some changes here. Uh, One change is that I've been splitting these islands into their own little parts of the map, which is an insanely mind-numbing exercise, to be honest. So, but there's a few more of these little pieces I need to chop off, like right here, need to chop there. And anyways, when you chop up these islands, it makes it easier to map them as Ukraine captures them. I used to be that this was all one big chunk, but as Ukraine has more success, I chop it into more little. You can actually see. Uh, I was kind of preparing for this. You can see as Ukraine has more success, you see the islands get more accurately drawn. But anyways, I've made this change here because I believe Ukraine does control this. Um, you, you could argue that they control part of this town as well. Not entirely sure what part of town. You notice that these drone attacks, these might be a few weeks old. These drone attacks, I'm not entirely sure. But these drone attacks in this western part of the town, um, and then we have also shelling there from Russia. We also have these drone attacks in the south. These are in snow. Oh, not all of them are in snow, but some of them are in snow. Trust me. I mapped them. Some of them were in snow. Can't remember which ones. Not that one. Anyways, I give up. Some of them are in snow. Uh, yeah. The point being is that Ukraine is using their drones to control kind of what Russia's capable of doing in response to Ukraine's movement in Krynky. So they've destroyed this BTR here. They've destroyed a BTR there. They've destroyed a T90 tank. I can't remember where the T90. Oh, there it is. There's a T90 T90M that blew up. So they're Ukraine is using their drones to control what Russia is capable of doing. So you see, there's a BMD4 BMD4M here next to a destroyed van. Uh, so yeah, and there's a BTR-82A up there too. But these drones are very effective at controlling what Russia is capable of doing in response. Um, the Russians are claiming that that Ukraine is pushing into this forest and that there are firefights within the forest itself. Um, Ukraine is using their drones to knock out these vehicles that Russia is using to supplement their infantry. The Russian infantry is, by their own claims, the Russian infantry is suffering pretty high casualty rates. Uh, yeah, and this part here is pretty cool. Uh, Here, I'll show you that part. Um, this video is so long, uh, but you see the little Ukrainian drone saw these Russian helicopters just fly past. That was pretty cool. But it shows you that Russia does have their helicopters working in this area, firing. Um, they're basically firing or lobbing rockets. They're lobbing rockets into this area as artillery, basically. Yeah. So I think what Ukraine is attempting to do now is they're trying to push to this highway here. Now, I don't know if they're going to make it all the way to the highway, but even making it a little bit to the highway is a big deal because Ukraine digging into this forest is a nightmare scenario for Russia. That's why Russia is really trying to push them out of the forest and keep them in the town. if Ukraine is in the town, they can be contained. But when they are established in this forest, it's a nightmare. Ireland, how you doing? Okay. uh, I don't know. Do you want to talk, Ireland, or can you not talk? Just blink your eyes. Once for yes and two for no. See, Martin's taking credit for stuff. What can stop lancets? Well, first, there's one thing. Thank you for bringing this up, by the way. And this is in the video description, but I do want to talk about this. Um, Constantine is running a fundraiser right now. Okay, this fundraiser is for um, crabs. The crab armor. Okay, so this crab armor, it consists of basically fencing. There's these welded components that are fitted to the crab. They're designed to be fitted, so they fit nice and snug, like a little coat, and they are welded on, and it gives this standoff armor. And then you can put these uh, camouflage into that um, as well. So this is one layer of defense you can give a vehicle is this armor. The purpose of this armor is to absorb the hit of the incoming drone, um, cause it to explode, and have it not explode on the vehicle itself, so that it has some space for the heat rounds to dissipate a little bit. Now, the space offered by this armor is not totally sufficient. I mean, it's better than nothing, but it's not good enough alone. Okay, it's not good enough alone. So what you need to do in addition to this is it needs to have another layer of armor that's even further out from the vehicle, preferably another sort of thing like this, where it could be a netting or another fence or something else to absorb the hit even further out, which would then you know dissipate energy, and then this armor can dissipate more energy, and then the actual armor of the armored vehicle can dissipate some, and by the time it hits, gets into the vehicle, hopefully it's taken care of. But anyways, Constantine is doing this fundraiser. It costs $3,000 per howitzer, and I believe he's raised $3,000 or 4,300. So it's 4,300. Fairland, you're here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh,
Although I can
perfect.
also hear me.
Oh, no good. One sec.
But yeah, he wants to buy 6 armors. They cost $3,000 each, so he's bought one. So if you want to contribute to this fundraiser, you can do so, or you can share it with your friends. Share it with a different group of people, maybe share it with people who don't know who Constantine is. And if you do so, if you do share it with people who don't know who Constantine is, you might want to share um, footage of Constantine delivering aid in the past, so they trust him. Maybe. Um,
I hope I fixed my microphone issues now.
I can't hear myself anymore.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, Konstantin is a really good guy, and I guess sharing both him and Liberty Ukraine is a good thing for people who don't know from the past.
Absolutely.
Sometimes these FPV drones and loitering munitions bounce off nets as well, so they don't even explode. But these are made of metal, so
Yes.
most likely they will explode. But yeah, the charge won't cause nearly as much damage. It's a really, really cool design, and yeah, they worked a lot on this, so yeah, it's amazing job by Konstantin and the guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, this is one way of addressing a lancet. This alone obviously can't totally address the problem with the lancet. Um, I think this would probably be better towards the FPV drones, but it will also help against lancets. With lancets, you need many layers of defense. That's really the issue. The more layers of defense you have, the better. You can't rely on just one or two. It's got to be many layers, and some of those layers of defense are nettings, these sort of fences. That's one layer. Another layer is electronic warfare. Another layer is air defense. Because it's not so much the lancet that's the threat. The threat is the reconnaissance drone that guides the lancet into the target. If you can take out those reconnaissance drones, you basically eliminate the threat of a lancet. So yeah, that's you can use air defense to shoot down those drones. You can have electronic warfare, um, all those sorts of things. So you have to have as many layers of defense as possible. A lot of the lancet kills that I see, um, I'm not sure whether those vehicles or howitzers or whatever the target was, I'm not sure that those vehicles were under enough layers of defense. And in some of the cases, I'm not sure they're under literally any layer of defense. So, like some of them don't even have camouflage. So yeah, they just need lots of defense, lots of layers, like a little onion. Is a submerged bridge useful? I mean, hey, what about this? How about this, Erland? I have an idea. Instead of building a pontoon bridge, hear me out. Hear me out. What you do is you build a tube, right? You build a tube that goes in the water, like under it though. So you just drive your vehicle through the tube and out the other side, and then you're on the island, right? You cross the river through the tube, like a straw.
Does this mean Ukraine have to call Elon Musk again? These tunnels exist, prefabricated concrete elements that you sink into the water and then you connect them and then drain them.
Is it called sewage? Is that what it's called?
I don't. I mean, that's how they construct these undersea tunnels for cars.
Well, yeah, yeah.
We have them. I live in a country with fjords and a lot of water, and we have these tunnels.
You have tunnels. You've unlocked the tunnel tech tree.
I think yes, they certainly spent quite a few petrol billions on the tunnel unlocking tree endeavor.
So yeah, there's this other area that Ukraine has definitely increased their presence, and it is right here. It's getting regularly hit by airstrikes too. By the way, this is it's right there. It's to the east of Oleshki. I'm not sure how far down they've gone. We do know that they've reached this far because they've been attacked by Russian drones here. So yeah, that's pretty much all the news I got. I don't know what else to talk about. I could go back into depressing news.
Well, you mentioned that they need to get to this highway just north of the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that that's really, really promising in a way. Of course, there's quite a lot of fields and difficult stuff to that they need to. I don't know, say if you can say liberate, that they need to take control over before they can cut off that road. But yeah, that road is very interesting, not just because it's the only route for, I don't know, like 20 kilometers or something.
You have to go all the way down.
Yeah, it's quite far, and but that's also because of that natural obstacle this desert is, which in a way is it makes it less concerning for me that Ukraine is pushing in this particular direction, because if they can reach that highway, quite immediately that gives Ukraine some room of pause and some natural obstacle they can lean on, because you can't really use that desert for anything.
Yeah, I'm honestly not really sure what the terrain is there. I wonder if like Google Map just has like images of it. Let's see.
Yeah, you can find several images of that on Google Maps. I think in the summer it wouldn't be that difficult, but in the winter I imagine it'd be really difficult to cross.
Okay. It's like it, it looks like another planet,
Yeah,
to be honest.
but you'll find like images from tourists. I don't know. Yeah, there. This is a nightmare, to be honest.
Yeah. 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 Well,
It's re-
is
yeah.
that a camel?
What, are you sure not in Africa now?
Is it a real camel? Is it like a wooden cutout of a camel? So this is what this area looks like.
I didn't expect a camel there, but yeah. This is not scripted, you guys.
No. Yeah, so this is
Yeah, but
this is the terrain.
but try and imagine like moving artillery and lots of ammunition on really bad Russian trucks over that desert. It's not gonna go well. I mean, you can send infantry through it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one good thing is it's not hot, right? Or is it? It's just, oh, there it is.
Okay, that's yeah.
Uh, yeah, there it is. You can get on and ride that around.
Is that actually a paper figure that they stuck in the sand, or is it?
Well, it
No.
has metal. This is like a
Yeah.
metal. So maybe it's like a sheet of like aluminum or something that they painted. I don't know. I'm just clicking all these like little dots.
Yeah, but it's like a major natural obstacle that you can utilize it in your advantage. I mean, Russia doesn't really have an advantage about it anyhow, because for them it's an obstacle. Their forces are behind it. But when Ukraine, hopefully when Ukraine reaches it, it's an advantage for them. It's some room between them and the Russians.
You know, and obviously this is not the only such feature. This
Yeah.
whole area is full of this sort of thing. So, um, yeah, there's uh, yeah, this whole area is ripe for once you control the highways, I think it's pretty rough for the Russians because they would have there's only so many routes you can take. Um, I'm not sure how many small roads there are. I'm sure there's small roads, but um, it all becomes a big question mark. What happens when you lose the highways? Yeah,
Yeah, but it also gives Ukraine the possibility to move along it, and that's kind of also another big advantage. If you manage to reach it, it's not just about controlling certain part of it to stop the Russians from moving through, because they can go around. Yeah, it takes longer time, but they can still go around it. But it's more of the advantage that it poses or gives you, because you have some more space in between you, and like you just have less physical area that you need to focus your forces on, basically.
yeah, and you get to use all the technology from like the war on terrorism, right?
You want Ukraine to cross this desert?
I mean, we just spent. Oh yeah, we could have spent 20 years developing things like shore red, but instead we spent 20 years developing how to drive in sand. So we're ready.
Yeah, it's such a pity that they repainted all equals that.
Yeah. I mean, the desert camo works really well in Ukraine. Uh, I don't know if you've seen the desert camo in Ukraine. It works really well. I'm not sure there is a better camo. I think the desert is probably the best for them.
Yeah, I mean, in the northeastern part, I would definitely prefer greener variant, but yeah.
Because there's in urban combat, the desert camo is really good. And in winter, the desert camo is pretty good because everything's like muddy brown in color, unless it's white, obviously. Although I'm not sure. Anyway, uh, and in summer, the desert camo works pretty good too because you kind of like hide in shadows.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unnatural to see a spot that is like sandy or sand color.
Yeah. So yeah, there was some missile strikes today. There was one that went to that place. There's a few over here, and I believe the ones in Dnipropetrovsk, I believe those were shot down, and this one I think hit something, although I have no clue what it hit. Um, and apparently the radar may have been destroyed, although this video may be old. I'm not entirely sure, but that didn't look good. To put it mildly, it didn't look good. I need to check on whether that's new or old. But that's pretty much all the news I got. There's also some other stuff going on in like Russia that I didn't really have time to look at because I was kind of strapped for time today. I don't know if you looked. Did you look at any of that? There's some like things exploding in Russia. Oh, and there's like an explosion in Zhankoi, but I didn't have time to read any of that. So I just know that there's apparently an explosion here. And I think there was an explosion near Moscow too. I didn't have time to read it, so I don't know.
No, and today I haven't had time to read up on the basic news either. But uh, I just noticed that the last few days Ukraine has probably started to project some more, uh, let's say, sabotage slash long range drone um, capability towards Russia.
Yeah, they've hit some key facilities, and they've hit them more than once, which is interesting each. So yeah, they've been going for I think electrical substations. They've been going for manufacturing plants and other similar sorts of targets, and hitting each one more than once on more than one day. And I believe, if I remember right. I didn't really have time to look at this, but I think what they hit today in Russia and like near Moscow or whatever, I think it's the same thing they hit like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because both Ukraine and Russia has been, you know, kind of holding off some of these deeper strikes. Russia, of course, again ramping up the infrastructure terror that they've been doing last winter as well. But the last week and a half, seen a lot more of these things from Ukraine as well. So it's not by coincidence. So I think we're going to see more. And it's for me, it's interesting to see if Ukraine has also kind of saved up a larger batch of these long range strike drones.
Yeah. Are you, this guy, he's asking about the AMX-10. Um, you know about the AMX-10 RC? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Or are you talking about the AMX? Yeah, it's the AMX-10 RC, right? There's not the other AMX. That's the AMX. The other one's the 13, right? Yeah, so there is only one 10. The reason why Ukraine hates the 10 is very simple. The 10 is way under armored. Like it's the armor on the AMX 10 RC is not even enough to stop a shrapnel from an artillery shell. And I'm not talking about a direct hit. Like obviously like there are very few vehicles that can survive a direct hit. But uh we're talking like an artillery shell landing like I don't know, like 20 meters away or something, like not a hit, and the armor can't stop that. It it's basically has the armor of like a car, okay? Like maybe it can stop like a bullet, like a small bullet, maybe, but it's basically unarmored. And that's why Ukraine doesn't like it. Cuz I believe they lost a crew to a artillery shell that didn't even hit the vehicle. And when that happens, they were rather upset. They're like, "Come on, like you're supposed to at least stop shrapnel. Like, what is even the point of having armor if it can't stop shrapnel? Like, is the armor just for show? It's like, is this like a Cybertruck? Is that what's going on?" But that's why they don't like the AMX 10RC. Um,
I think I saw an interview with a Marine that was obviously, you know, put there by some information officer of Ukraine to give a positive interview about the AMX. And he specifically said that, yeah, we survived when artillery struck nearby and
now,
it protected us.
okay.
Yeah,
If by survived, you mean all of the shrapnel didn't hit the crew, but shredded the vehicle, then sure.
yeah. I mean, I just saw one of those articles that was obviously like some sort of um, let's give some um, positive light to French support, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just there's a reason why nobody uses the AMX 10RC, like like in actual military stuff. uh, There's a reason, and it's because it's just not a good design. And
But you remember when they first came, what kind of role we expected them to be used in was definitely not what they were used for. We were thinking like, let's Ukraine should keep these in the back, in the reserve, or in the follow up echelons in case of any breach. So no one really expected, or at least no one of the people I talked to expected this to be used at the front lines, but it's been extensively used at like zero line attacks, and yeah, I guess it's just not designed for it at all.
yeah, I mean, honestly, what I wanted was the Shintaro. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, and Italy has so many of them that they can use them for these army displays in the streets.
Now that's a
Um,
vehicle. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it go.
it's not bad. I mean,
Better
I would
than
be
AMX
happy.
10RC.
I, I mean, I'm happy about all the stuff Ukraine gets. So, um, as long as it's used right, but they don't really have a choice, right? That's the big issue.
Yeah.
What would you like to be in Android? Would you like to be in an AMX, or would you like to be in a BMP or
Um,
BTR because it's more of a similar capability?
the
Sorry, I'm
BTR has dramatically better armor.
better armor. Oh, okay.
Like dramatically better.
Would it? Would it? Okay. So
uh
even like the
I wouldn't
BTR
really want either.
BTR
Like
two.
the issue of the BTR is the ergonomics are like anti-human. It was designed to make you suffer as a human. The shapes of things are just suffering. That was kind of like when they went to the engineer. They're like, "What we want is an armored car, right?" And the engineer is like, "Okay, I can do that." Like, okay, but importantly, we want you to sprinkle in the element of suffering. And he was like, wait a second. What do you mean by that? You're like, I want the crew to know I hate them.
Is it one of those like we need this amount of cubic centimeters for the crew, but it doesn't matter how it's distributed?
Just have you seen like the door of a BTR? I don't mean the back door. I mean the side door.
Yeah, yeah, that's horrible.
The side door. It's so bad. They hate the crew. It's just I don't know how else to say it. They hate you. Yeah. I don't know. What blows my mind personally is that there's no cheap, just armored car. I felt this way since this war started. Like if I had the money to do it, which I don't, but if I did, I would basically design my own armored car. Like all it like it does like all it would be like just a car with armor on it. I wouldn't make an MRAP. I wouldn't make there'd be no gun on top. There would be no fancy anything. It would just be the cheapest possible car that's bulletproof. And I'd make a bunch of them and sell them to Ukraine. That would be my goal. And it kind of blows me away that that doesn't exist. Nobody makes just entry level armored vehicles. Just an armored car. That's it. Like it doesn't need to be cannon proof. Like it doesn't even need to be 50 cal proof. Just proofed to a rifle. And preferably cost less than like $500,000 or whatever they cost. Humvee, no, I'm not talking about a Humvee because a Humvee is first It doesn't have armor. That was the issue of the Humvee. It has to be up armored just to have armor. I mean, purpose designed, just armored vehicle, and that's all it does.
Iveco used to make kind of a decent, not too expensive one. How many seats does your car need?
I would I would make it like an SUV. So there would be like it would be an 8-seater. It'd be 2 in the front and 6 in the back.
Do you need a luggage space, or is that not the
It
requirement?
would literally be just like like it would be like a standard SUV except armor. And it wouldn't be up armoring an SUV. It would be purpose built. But that's basically what it'd be. It would just be like a standard SUV but with armor.
Yeah,
That's what I would make.
Iveco makes that.
How much does it cost?
Oh,
Does it cost like $300,000? Because I don't. It's not good enough. I want it to be like $80,000. That's what I want.
it's like 405,000.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyways, yep. I don't know what vehicles Ukraine's gonna get, but I do know. Did you see what happened to the loaf the other day?
No, please tell me.
It was in Sumi, Sumi somewhere. I don't know where. But this was it was a medical evacuation loaf, and it was a Ukrainian loaf, and they were running an evacuation. So they were driving to someone who had been wounded in Sumi. So this is not a very hot part of the front. Okay, so but they were driving down the road towards this, and they were ambushed by Russians, and they basically unloaded many bullets into the loaf, and nobody survived basically. So that is an event that I don't think should happen because I think everybody should have an armored vehicle personally.
Well, Russia has just gotten a deal with China to get the totally unarmored vehicle, and they're popping up everywhere. The golf cart.
Yeah, golf carts.
Yeah, looks like a golf cart.
And people are talking about the what's it called, the Patria or whatever it's called.
The Finnish one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
The thing is about these vehicles is that they're much more fancy than I think is necessary personally. These are like this is like what I'm talking about is like baby's first armored car. This is like you have a professional military. We need an armored vehicle. Like that's the difference in capability that we're talking about here. Is like this is like a legit military vehicle, whereas I'm describing is like baby's first armored vehicle. It's like I just want a car that you can drive to a medical evacuation and not get ambushed by Russians because when they shoot you with a rifle, the bullets bounce off and you keep driving. That's what I want. Uh, Anyways, I think we're just rambling at this point. So I guess we'll stop.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
Ukraine needs everything of this. You know, they need what you're describing, and they need the Patria, they need the Centauro, and that you know, it's just a little bit difficult to put your finger on this one thing. But the other day, you made an appeal to me that would have made a huge difference, and it's just get them, 500,000 IFACs. That's one thing that actually would help a lot.
yeah, yeah, it blows me away. Like today, I don't know if you saw this, but today Denmark approved a plan to give lots more money to Ukraine, or at least in terms of Denmark, it's a lot of money. I think total it was like $3 billion. I think over 3 years or whatever. I think it's 300 million next year, and then like 1.5 billion the year after that, and then like 1 billion the next year. It's something like along those lines. I can't remember the exact details. And this isn't total. That's in addition to what they already pledged. So, but I was looking at these numbers and I was like, okay, so you're gonna get 300 million more dollars next year, or 300 million euros or whatever it is. You could take like 10 million of that and buy like enough IFACs for like 6 to 8 months for Ukraine. And it would only be like a tiny fraction of what they're pledging, right? So it's just, and this is Denmark, and this is only their additional on top of what they already pledged. I don't know what they already pledged, but this is in addition to that. So this is like additional money. So it just taking a tiny fraction of a tiny country, their pledge would be enough to make an enormous difference on the battlefield. Or not necessarily the battlefield, but enormous difference to Ukraine. To have wounded soldiers survive instead of die would make a big difference in a country that needs all the soldiers it can get, basically.
Yeah, and I hope that as many European countries now pledge vast more money than they did the last year. A lot of these basic necessities that Ukraine lack, like personal equipment wise, especially, will be funded. And I hope that in some way or form it's going to be coordinated, because this is one of the things Ukraine has been asking for, over and over again, when talking to Western countries that are providing aid. But
And
I
it's
guess
so
it's
little
more.
money. It's so little. Like, the United
Yeah,
States just gave a tiny military package. It was what, like $100 million or something? Like $100 million is like, it's probably the smallest military package the US ever gave. And that would be enough to buy enough IFACs like 10 times over. It's like the tiniest package they've ever given is like 10 times more than necessary to do what we're talking about.
but yeah, many of these smaller countries have been, pledging certain systems, etc., that they could send to Ukraine, like Denmark sent artillery. You saw, was it Lithuania or Latvia that just sent two NASAMS launchers, etc. And I think they've been trying, they've been doing some of these pledges because it also gives a little bit more status in a way, that you pledge something very important, while sending a bunch of tourniquets and IFACs, etc. Maybe in the information space isn't giving the same arousal, as sending air defense systems, or 10 or 12 artillery systems like Denmark did previously. But
And Mark,
many of
I
these
Mark,
small
I know
countries.
Rebecca. I know Rebecca. She's I talk to Rebecca sometimes. I used to talk to her more than I do, but yeah, I'm friends with Rebecca.
Yeah, I just want to say that, like, many of these countries, like Denmark, my country, Norway, and smaller countries, there's not much more to send in the inventory, right? So we will just have to start buying equipment that is available on the market, and personal equipment is probably easier to procure than large armored vehicles
Yeah, because of the way
and other
manufacturers
systems.
that stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, so you could buy medical kits, you can buy body armor, which is a huge problem. You could buy boots and clothing. I mean, there's all these things that are so important that are not being supplied. Radios, repeaters, all these things that are not necessarily expensive, not difficult to get your hands on. They're pretty plentiful. Maybe boots might be hard. I don't know about boots, but like radios and repeaters and medical equipment, all that's pretty easy to get your hands on.
yeah, boots is a huge problem in Ukraine.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Hopefully this all gets addressed going forward. I hope so. I hope that we can bring light to the issues because there's problems that people get so focused on problems that I don't think are that aren't necessary to get focused on. Like people are so focused on artillery ammo. The artillery ammo is important, but it's being solved and it can't be sped up. So we there's nothing we can do about that. Like complaining about it doesn't fix anything. Whereas if you shine light on like these medical problems or body armor, these can be fixed like tomorrow. Like a country could sign a contract like tomorrow morning or on Monday or whatever to give Ukraine all of the medical equipment it needs for like $30 million, and the amount of money is like a rounding error. Like they're pledging billions and billions of dollars. Like 30 million is not a big deal.
Yeah, and a good friend of mine, he was in Ukraine this autumn, and when he came back, he said he talked to a lot of soldiers, both from the on the front line and people who are no longer on the front line due to injuries or other reasons. And he said that the most important thing they asked for was personal equipment, like these basic things like IFAKs, good uniforms, body armor, helmets, good boots, etc. That was what the soldiers he spoke to always told him. He didn't talk to a lot of high rank officers. He just talked to a bunch of soldiers, and I think we should listen to them. It's important.
So we have a question: why aren't there boots? Why is everyone wearing summer boots?
Yeah, I've seen that too. There's a bunch of Ukrainians showing pictures of their muddy boots, and they're all summer boots. It's really bad. Really makes
And
me
they
feel
might
terrible.
they might just not have the money for it. I mean, they're expensive.
So Ukraine had a program to fix a boot problem, which I think functioned pretty well because a lot of Ukrainians got new okay boots, but they are summer boots. So yeah,
What does it do for morale to know you have good gear?
a lot. Not just good gear, but comfortable as well. So you don't feel like crap all the time.
Yeah.
Being constantly uncomfortable, wet, irritated on your skin, um, it is a big energy drainer.
Yeah, and
It's
the
important. It's a force multiplier to have good, comfortable gear.
There is I don't know if this is a problem now, but having talked to people last year, um, a lot of the soldiers were just stupid. Like they were young. They're like 20-year-old guys who just don't know better, who bought combat related gear instead of just like normal gear. Like they would go out and buy like thermal sights for their rifle or red dot sights and all those sorts of things. But they didn't buy like boots or good like good clothing or any of that sort of stuff. And I think that was just being young and stupid, to be honest.
Inexperienced, yeah. Because most of the soldiers don't need a thermal. Like most of the soldiers don't even need a red dot sight, which sounds crazy, but that's truth. And the vast majority never needs to even see a thermal sight.
No. Like the only thermal you need is a drone. A thermal drone is going to do a lot more than a thermal sight.
Thermal sights are good for certain roles and very, very good for certain roles. But yeah, most soldiers or most platoons companies don't even need it. And they're so expensive that you could probably fit a whole squad with the personal, the boots and the thermal underwear they need.
Yeah, so like if your thermal sight costs what, $2,000, that would be like 30 IFACs. uh, would you rather have 30 IFACs or one thermal sight? That would be not even an expensive thermal sight. That's like a cheap one.
Yeah, that's very cheap. The good ones are at least 5,000. So.
Anyways, I think I'll stop the stream now because we've been talking for a while, and I hope everybody found the information valuable. There are links in the description to Constantine's fundraiser. One link is to his tweet. I know not everyone who watches this has a Twitter account, so I also linked his PayPal account, so you can look at his PayPal, and that is how you can donate. The tweet will give you more information about what the fundraiser is about, and thank you, Erland, for coming, and
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you for everyone who listened. Yeah. I don't know, is there anything else I should say?
No. Well, I guess we better hope for some good news from the American political scene soon. And I've heard some good rumors, opposite of those idiotic rumors that certain German journalists out.
Yeah, I've heard good rumors too, but I don't feel comfortable talking about that. But yes, I've also heard good news regarding American politics, but it's all still very up in the air. So we'll see if anything comes true in the future.
No, it's rumors. They're rumors, but yeah, the stuff in the German newspaper is also very, very much rumor.
There is a truth to it, though. I don't want to say that this is an official government policy or a conspiracy or whatever. I don't think any of that's true, but I think there is truth to the statement that there are members of government, I'm not saying they are the government, but there are people who work for the government who do feel that way. And I think it is important to at least recognize that.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think maybe also they are kind of old news in a way.
Maybe. Anyways, I think they
just
should be
wanted to say
destroyed. I just think they should be destroyed
True.
by the voters. They should be removed from office. The voters, I mean, a lot of them are probably not elected directly, but the constituents have power over these things, and I think they should use that power. So I think this comes down to the citizenry being responsible and doing their job in government, which is holding their own government accountable. That's what citizens are for. That's your job as a citizen.
Yeah, just the reason why I wanted to say is as that I was a little bit like panicked in a way as well, because I heard the same exact news, but a while ago, and then kind of checked in with some of the sources that I trust, and like, yeah, this is kind of changed now. So there's a lot better news coming,
Yeah.
which is still rumors, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, goodbye everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday or something. I don't know. Maybe sooner. Who knows? Goodbye.
Bye bye.